What is going on, everybody? Nasdorachi coming back at you again finally for another episode for Dragon Ball Legends. I do apologize it's been a week, but this past week primarily there's been not much going on in the game besides the PvP rating match Slogfest, the Triple RP, Bebop #1, etc, etc. Beyond that, again, not too much going on, but I finally feel like we have something good that we can go over as well. Yesterday being Goku Day, issued the first of the new events we've seen in quite a little bit, but the modus operandi for today is going to be covering the final tier list or meta snapshot for the game leading into the second anniversary. We are going to do kind of like the May sparking tier list, if you will, but things are going to be a little different, and we're going to go over that. But yeah, so leading up to anniversary, this is going to be our final classification, characterization of everything going on in the meta with the game. Now, there is a slight possibility that come the 13th, the second part of this Goku Day festival thing we have going on, we may see a new banner with a new character. Again, it is possible. We don't have any hints or any information suggesting that, but that shouldn't shake things up too crazily. We'll be able to squeeze that information into this list. Again, we expect the major changes just to start in about 20-ish days, again, when the second anniversary starts rolling out. So the formatting of this tier list has changed. We have decided, Slanak, of course, myself, I agree, that with the amount of characters going on in the game right now, getting close to the 300 mark, it's getting a little unfeasible and nonsensical to try and directly compare characters to each other in a traditional tier list format. So it is rolling over much more into the meta snapshot style. We will be analyzing the PvP meta, discussing relevant teams, grouping characters based around their viability in teams, how they stack up, and this list should effectively help you build better teams based off checking it out. And beyond that, there should be a lot less disagreement. Like all the previous tier lists, because different people have different experiences with their character box, different characters that they use, there would always be disagreements. With the nature of this game being a 3v3, with also the color advantage and disadvantage systems, it really doesn't make much sense to make lists in that direct comparison style, because one character that may be in a top tier could get bodied by one in a much lower tier just because they had the color advantage or better team synergy. So with that being said, the old way of classifying units based on just comparing them directly has kind of evolved or changed into something that's going to be a lot more effective and useful for the game. In the spirit of that, I wanted to give a huge shout out, of course, to Slanak for providing the material we'll be checking out today. And as always, of course, shout out to Devil Takoyaki or Thon for taking that information and making it into a very nice looking graphic. Helps save me the time because we have Rusmir on the back end doing some of the data research. We've got graphic help, and then I can present the information. So again, very big shout out to the team of folks that help provide me support on the back end. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into the list here, cover this as quickly and effectively as we can. And of course, again, shout outs to Slanak and of course the Devil Takoyaki. Thank you guys for helping out so much. So, before we jump in too hard, we do want to go over this new format we have for the list here. Of course, you'll see things have changed. We are analyzing the meta as a whole with the most competitive teams, how characters will stack up on those teams, and the best way to assemble your teams and build them. That is how the new tier lists and ranking structure for PvP are going to go. Instead of, again, we're not going to be directly comparing the units to one another. So don't think that when you see them in this presentation, that just because one is placed here, they're better than another character. That is not necessarily the case. So with that being said, the characters, of course, are going to be meta-breaking characters. These are going to be characters that are extremely relevant right now. Of course, you will be generally building teams around these characters and will most likely always include them in your available builds if you have access to them. Pretty much the same can be said for core meta characters. Again, characters you're going to be building teams around that headline their teams and that are material that make for some of the top meta teams available in the game. First choice options are going to be for that third slot on your top tier teams. Like you'll have a meta breaking character, a core meta character, and then generally you'll be filling optimally with someone from the first choice option slot, and occasionally from someone with the second choice option slot. And sometimes, if you do not have access to either, you will then see the usable filler characters. It says filter, I think that's a typo, but usable filler characters, not filter. That just means that they can be used to fill roles, again, if you do not have a better choice from the units above. Now, also, when I say like better choice, this and that, you'll see some characters in the first and second choice options and usable options as well, because their teams might be fully fleshed out, they just might not be a top tier team that's as competitive as ones built from meta breaking, core meta, and first choice option characters. So some of the characters will be ranked a little bit lower just because of that their team isn't as competitive right now, or their team needs some new life brought to it. And then at the bottom, you'll see the not recommended for battle characters. These characters may still be great for PvE events, things like co-op, or, you know, just using for just general nonsense reasons, or they can still be extremely effective bench units. In some cases, like critical bench units. So don't sleep on all the characters and not recommended. They're, again, just not for the top or high tier PvP metas, or they're just going to be bench units on those teams. You will not be bringing them to battle in PvP if you're trying to climb to the top of the leaderboards. So with all that being said, we're going to mention something briefly about each character, but we do want to keep this a lot shorter. We don't really need to go over every single character in depth because many of you will already know about them, and we want to keep the video, again, relatively short. So jumping in here to the top row, we'll see the meta breaking characters. Again, these are ones that go above and beyond. They generally will more than do their part to help you win your fights due to their overwhelming kits, amazing stats, and just the things that they can do to really mess up your enemy. Of course, we have Beerus here, Zen Kai 7 being potentially one of the most dangerous characters in the game, God Key team being extremely powerful, especially now that the Legends Limited Vegeta got his platinum equip. But of course, Beerus has a little bit of everything from healing to support, damage, ultimate arts, you know, locking out abilities. He's a great unit that's, again, extremely dangerous on a well-built God Key team. Doesn't really fit in anywhere else at the moment though, but that team is for sure a top meta team. Next up, Majin 21. We talked about her pretty extensively in previous tier lists and previous videos. Possibly one of the single best purple units and single best non-Zenkai characters in the game. Just has everything good going for her. Blue card is amazing, green card's amazing, transformed with the stats, amazing, can combo for days, fits on hyper powerful females teams or regeneration. Again, you build teams around this character. She is really, really powerful, amazing kit. Zen Kai 7 Boot coming up next, another one that's pretty well known, one of the most annoying healing units in the game that can recover damage for not only himself but the whole team at unprecedented amounts, especially when combined with Baby. Just very, very obnoxious character to deal with, and again, combined with Baby as a core meta character, really helps establish regeneration as one of the most obnoxious teams in the game. So he definitely earns a spot up here in meta breaking or meta defining category status. Next up, the brand new Zen Kai 7 Cooler pairs extremely well with the Legends Limited Purple Frieza, and Lineage of Evil also very dangerous, very deadly team. Now that he has been resurrected with new life being brought into him, he is even more dangerous than he was before, and not only a great offensive unit, but a great swap supporting unit to go with the Legends Limited Frieza's support to just make LOE, again, very deadly, very dangerous. Kefla next came out with great offenses. It's like, honestly, this is a great example of how you could structure a hyper powerful offensive unit while not making them too invincibly strong, because her defenses aren't great, even though she has a good little bit of healing with passives and green card, but she can strike damage combo for days, just keeps buffing her own damage, feint, ultimate arts, synergy on females and fusions. Just a very oppressively strong character who is, again, someone that you definitely build teams around. core meta characters, again, these characters are not going to be too much different. They're not going to be as oppressively strong as the characters above them, and in many cases, they will combo with the characters in the category above them to really make the foundation for many of the teams that are the most relevant in PvP at the moment. So of course, LF Vegeta with his brand new Platinum equip combines very well on God Key with or without Beerus. He can kind of run the green role without Beerus if you do not have the Beerus in a Zen Kaiable state, and just combines again extremely well with Rosa, other God Key units to do a whole lot of damage. He is not a defense unit really, so to speak. You're just bringing him to kill people, and he does that very well. Next up, Vegeto, going back up in value because Fusions has had some new life brought to it with Kefla and Gotenks. And of course, even though his stats might not be as hyper competitive as someone like Kefla with her damage output, his kit more than makes up for it. The things he can do with ultimate arts, canceling endurance, doing tons of damage, healing, just buffing himself out the gourd. So Vegeto, again, value going back up. The Fusions team in general, I do not believe is going anywhere anytime soon. Of course, we still have powerful units to look forward to. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, both of the God Blue, Vegeto and Gogeta, Fusion Zamasu. So Fusions, I think, will always be pretty relevant because lots of powerful characters just compose that tag. So Vegeto, extremely valuable. Of course, a core character that you build Fusion teams around in addition to the Kefla now as well. Legends Limited Frieza, a core member of LOE. Again, we already spoke about them. Just very, very dangerous team, and he provides great support, great cover swapping to mess up the red cards and get in the way of that. Great combo ability with that, with green cards, blue cards, just great damage, great support, hyper powerful ultimate arts technique, and is arguably much better than the purple cooler, and again, brings Lineage of Evil to a really high level of competitiveness. Next up, the purple Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. He has actually risen in value quite significantly because he is a hard counter to a lot of the powerful green units you will see floating around in top tier PvP right now. His ability to lock and assassinate is where almost all his value comes from. You'll see characters like Kefla especially running rampant all over the place. So in the meta right now, that is why this Vegeta is so high, because he provides a great hard counter to all these Keflas you'll be seeing, some of the LF Vegetas and other characters as well, Golden Friezas, but mostly for Kefla. He is your hard counter. You start a combo with someone else, swap into this Vegeta, Kefla can't swap out, and you murder her. Again, that's where all his value is right now on the God Key team with that anti-Kefla build in mind. Next up, of course, we have Gohan and Bojack. They've been around as a deadly duo for quite a while now. We all know why they are around between the locks, the damage, the swapping, or even baiting the swap to get a free combo. They are, of course, the foundation for your movies teams that is going to be built around. Still a top tier team, although it is arguable that they could really use a health buffer on the Z ability, like for the bench. You know, a lot of other teams that are super effective in top tier right now will have ways of buffing health via bench characters and equipment, and movies is lacking a little bit of that. Next up, we have Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He's actually an amazing offensive unit while also having some defense and healing survivability tools. We actually kind of use this Goku as the baseline test for comparing offensive units, like new ones that come out, like Kefla when she came out, Majin 21, etc. We kind of use Super Saiyan 4 Goku as the test platform to gauge, what their stats and what their damage numbers and stuff, defenses are going to look like. So, very effective character. Of course, you build teams around him for GT and as well the All Goku team. He's a staple member of that also right now. A little bit of San family, but they're not quite as competitive. But again, just very, very good character who will likely be valuable for quite a while. I would assume that as more GT stuff and more Gokus come out, he will be always pretty relevant until, I guess, another hyper powerful purple unit comes out to replace him, specifically for GT or Goku builds. Next up, we have Baby. Of course, he is well known, very infamous for his ability to support the healing of whatever team he's on, be it with, of course, the Fat Boo or all the other regeneration healers, or GT with the Goku and the Sin Shenron. He makes the healing just that much better and that much more absurd. And of course, with Regen specifically in mind in GT, you do build teams around him with him pretty much always being there. He's not usually ever a bench unit. You don't bring Baby just to bench him. Whenever he's, in a build, he's usually always going to be featured in battle. So that makes a lot of sense. Of course, in the meta right now, he is still a core character to build around. Shallot coming up next in the core meta characters. There are lots of specific, highly effective Shallot builds. You build Shallot with Legends Limited Namek Goku and Legends Limited Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or the Feet Goku from the Legends Limited Piccolo banner, who supports really well, or even units like the Red Transforming Bardock. So Shallot is definitely, post Super Saiyan 3 transformation, a very hyper powerful character who you do use as a core character to build teams around. So he does deserve to be here for sure. I also anticipate some activity in terms of new transformations or forms for Shallot coming anniversary, so I don't anticipate he'll be going anywhere anytime soon. He's going to probably always have a pretty effective build surrounding him. I think the developers kind of want it that way too, since he is the main character and a hero unit that is fully competitive with Sparkings. Next up, we're dropping down to our first choice options. Again, these are the ones that you will bring to fill that third slot, or in many cases, if you're running kind of like an off-meta team, they can fill the team up fairly nicely as well. So we do have the Legends Limited Piccolo, of course, for your regeneration builds. He is very good, probably takes the first slot choice over the yellow Perfect Cell, unless you're really worried about Rising Rushes and are bringing the Cell just for that IT save. But the Piccolo more than compensates with offensive and defensive power to be your first choice option on your regeneration teams. The Saiyan Saga team is not quite there in terms of competitiveness yet, so more often than not, you're building this Piccolo with just regeneration in mind. Next up, we have the Zen Kai Goku. Builds on your generic Saiyans teams. He's got that nice endurance and the ability to kill endurance, so he's a great throw in front of Rising Rush type character that many Goku, Son family, and Saiyans teams really lack. They did not have a character like that. And he's got competitive damage output and stuff too, so you'll generally have him as a first choice option again for Shallot or Saiyan or Goku based team builds right now. Unfortunately, the Legends Road and Dragon Ball Saga teams are not quite there yet, so we'll have to wait on that. Yellow Vegeto coming next. Not too much that needs to be said. He is, of course, your first choice yellow option for the Fusions meta. Very effective team, and you will want the yellow Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks on bench for the health buffs, but you will generally not want to bring him in battle. So Vegeto, again, is your first choice option for that yellow role on Fusions. Next up, we have Rosa. He's your first choice red options for both God Key and Future. There's going to be something I'm going to reference a few times in this little tier list or meta snapshot, which is the value of a character being able to win games quickly versus the value of a character to be able to make comebacks or stall the game or make more technical plays. So Rosa is of course going to be your first choice because he can nullify his weakness to blue. He's got the debuffs that apply to the enemy when you're running him on God Key or with other God Key units. And again, he just does lots of damage and is able to win games quicker. Then, for example, you have the second choice option, the EX Wiese. The Wiese has the heals, he's got the green card spam that he can provide, he's got, some supporting swapping buffs, but Wiese is not going to be as effective for just outright winning the game quicker and easier. The Rosa is going to be better for that. The Wiese is going to be the better technical, comebacky, stalling the game kind of support unit. So that's kind of why the Rosa takes the edge out over the Wiese, because he will, again, effectively help you win the battles easier, so to speak, if you don't make too many mistakes, than the Wiese will. Next up, Gotenks is a very similar situation between him and the base form Red Vegeto. The base form Red Vegeto will have that nice technical lock, he'll have heavy defenses, but he does not have very much offensive power. You absolutely have to have this Vegeto on the bench. But in terms of bringing him to battle, the Gotenks will take the first choice slot because he can kill enemies extremely effectively. His defenses are pretty high, and he just helps you win games quicker, easier, more effectively. You don't really need the lock in the defense if you're just murdering the enemy without, those tools really ever needing to come into play. So that's why Gotenks will get the first choice option. Again, if you don't have him, or if you want the more defensive and technical playstyle, you will have the base Vegeto as that second choice option. Yellow, full power Final Form Frieza next. One of the best examples of a tank in the entire game. Just great defenses, ki restore, pretty acceptable damage on his blue cards and yellow card damage after main ability use. Just a great first choice option for LOE, which again is very heavily stacked with powerful characters. So you'll see other LOE units in this row, and it basically will just come down to which color do you think you'll need for the battle you're about to queue into. Will you bring the yellow Frieza? Will you bring the green one? Or will you bring the red one? You'll generally always want to bring the Zen Kai Cooler and the Legends Limited Frieza. So which other one you bring just determines, what you think you might need for that individual battle. But again, very, very good defensive unit with the endurance and the ability to kill endurance. I believe him and the yellow Kid Goku are the only two units in the game that both have endurance and can cancel endurance at the same time. Next up, we have the red Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. He is an amazing offense unit. Great first choice when you need that red for your GT teams. Right now, Vegeta family not nearly as competitive, so again, he is a first choice red option for GT. He does not have the same defensive and healing options, even though his offenses are pretty much comparable to Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and because the Goku and generic Saiyans teams are a little bit more powerful than Vegeta family, that is why the Super Saiyan 4 Goku is a core character, whereas the Vegeta is just a first choice option. Just team versatility and just overall the well-roundedness of the Goku do give him the edge there. Green Frieza, we kind of already covered. Amazing offensive unit, pairs extremely well with the support given by these two, Blue Cooler and Purple Frieza. It's just, do you need the green color, do you need yellow, or do you need red? That is what really determines your first choice for your LOE builds. Next up, we have the blue transforming Vegeta, who is arguably a first choice over these two. I don't know why he's necessarily a first choice over the Broly, the Zen Kai one, but I would assume that most players will have more stars on this Vegeta, like considerably more stars, seeing as how the amount of time he's been around and featured, comparable to the DBS Broly Chilai, and I'm assuming that's why he does take the first choice slot over these, well, at least this Broly, the DBS Broly Chilai. For whatever reason, if you did summon a lot on this banner and your DBS Broly Chilai is comparable to the Vegeta, I would say either of them could be the first choice slot for the movies team to go along with Gohan and Bojack. It really doesn't matter, and Zen Kai Broly is honestly just as an effective of a choice. So honestly, Zen Kai Broly should probably be in first choice. And an asterisk, like if you have this DBS Broly Chilai in any way comparable, then it's also an effective option because they are a really good character also. But yeah, Vegeta, just first choice, blue roll for movies. It's been that way for quite a while, and that's probably why he's just kind of holding his place here. Zen Kai 7 Gohan is next. Great anti-regeneration character, has helped bring hybrids back along with the red Trunks and the red Gotenks, and has healing cancellation on him too. He's much better off now than what he was. Possibly on Son Family, you'll see some good usage of him, but mostly probably right now on hybrids is what I would say. You can do really a great anti-regen build with this Gohan and the red Trunks that just came out. So hybrids, again, not a top tier team, but this is a great first choice if you are running like a Son Family or a hybrids build. Next up, Legends Limited Namek Goku. Again, like the way this is set up, this doesn't mean that the Gohan is better than the Goku. It's just these are all your first choice options. They're not like ranked in terms of individual value comparative to units next to them. I just wanted to reiterate that real quick. But the Legends Limited Namek Goku is a great first choice option for any team that's cored around Shallot, or any team that's cored around just Gokus in general. You will definitely want him as a first choice option. If you have him with any type of stars on him, he's probably going to be a better choice in most cases, even than this supporting Goku, just because he's a little bit better of a character. This supporting Goku can do some amazing stuff and is extremely effective, but in most situations you will always first choice this Goku. Red Bardock next is again a great first choice option for the red role for your core Shallot builds, or for any generic Saiyans builds, or the Bardock squad. You just have to remember he's a little bit of a wonky character with how long it takes for him to get rolling, and how dangerous it may be for him to be used under his optimal conditions, where he's the only one left and you might have multiple enemies left to deal with. But still, extremely competitive, great first choice option for said teams. Red Janemba, a great first choice option for your movies as well. Just like blue, it's like what color do you need, what are you facing? The Janemba is perfectly acceptable to fit in the movies again there. Or great first choice red option for Regen to go with, of course, Majin 21 and the Zen Kai Buu, or any other regeneration hijinks you have going on. So he fits in quite nicely in both of those spots. The Red 18 has been resurrected by the existence of 21 and Free-to-Play 21. She is your default first choice option to go with those two, or to go with like Majin 21 Kefla and Red 18, something similar to that. But she's a great first choice option to go with your ladies because of the amazing synergy females have with each other right now. Again, mostly due to the 21s. Next up, Blue Kaioken Goku from the Battleverse hit. He is a great first choice option for your yellow role on God Key. He is a great option to go on any generic Saiyans teams or Goku specific teams, especially if he's 6 stars or higher, because then the ability just buffs Saiyans in general. Kind of surprising, but he just fits in really nicely in either one of those situations. Next up, we have the Red Frieza. Kind of, again, already talked about this. Just what color do you need? All three, yellow, green, and red, are very effective first choice options, just depending on your situation with LOE. Next up, we have the pretty much year-old Super Saiyan Blue Goku. He is a great first choice option for your God Key if you need it, just depending on if you're running, these LFs up here, if you're running the purple one, do you need blue? He's a perfectly good first choice option if you need his color coverage. Sin Shenron, perfectly good first choice option for the GT team. He goes great with Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Baby, or he'll go great with Baby, the red and the yellow, just depending on who you need, what colors you need. He's a great defensive option with the endurance and the 50% damage cut. So he, again, pairs amazingly well with Baby as a, combo to the core build there for just heavy defense. Kind of like the yellow Final Form Full Power Frieza, but just lacks a little bit of offense in comparison. He's definitely not as offensively well-rounded out as Frieza is. DBS Blue Gogeta is next. He's getting kind of towards the second choice slot, but he is, again, a great first choice option for fusions if you need the blue role. I, however, did drop him off the team because I'm running the core of Kefla, Purple Vegeto, Yellow Vegeto Gotenks, and then I also need the Yellow Gotenks again on the bench for the health buffing. And then you need the Red Vegeto on the bench for the defenses and buffs to Vegeto. So between those 6 characters, I did have to drop this Blue DBS Gogeta off my Fusions teams, but he is still a perfectly acceptable option. Zen Kai 7 Goku Black is good for your future teams, which is an up-and-coming meta that's not quite there yet, but they are getting very close to being a top-tier team. I would assume once Fusion Zamasu and like Vegeto Blue or any other characters from that future arc come out, that they will fully ascend to top-tier status, and he's a great first-choice option for yellow. Moving down to second choice, there are a couple of units I'm going to verbally move up from second choice to first choice, but again, these are just units that you'll use instead of these if you maybe don't have them, or if you're running a little bit of a different build with something specifically different in mind. It just depends on your build and what you have access to, but generally these will just be second choice options to maybe a little bit more tighter constructed builds made out of characters a little bit higher above them. So with that being said, all these characters are still perfectly good, perfectly competitive, perfectly usable, just varying levels of competitiveness with other options you may have. Purple Trunks, again, great for hybrids, future, Vegeta family. It's just none of the 3 of those teams are currently at the top of the game right now. which is why he ends up being down here as a second choice option. Next up, you have the free-to-play 21, who I would argue would be the first unit that I would move up. I put her right up here with the red 18 as a first choice option for females. Like, ideally, you're packing the 4 core females of free-to-play 21, red 18, Majin 21, and Kefla. Those are your 4 powerhouse females right now. You'll have 2 other bench units, but those are the 4 core for your, standard females team right now. So I would definitely put her in first choice. But moving forward, we have Yellow Perfect Cell next, just as a second choice now to the Legends Limited Piccolo. Again, if you don't have the Piccolo, like me, then it's perfectly acceptable to use him as a choice. He's still a great unit even after all this time. Blue Feet Goku is next. Is only a second choice to this Legends Limited Goku for most team builds because the Legends Limited Goku just kind of fits in better. However, the damage support that this guy gives out is amazing. The little heal he gets on his ultimate arts, the reduction of swap timers with the green cards. So he is still a perfectly competitive option. You just have to remember that his defenses are almost non-existent. So he is much more of a risky unit to play with, which is kind of another reason why he probably fell down here into second choice. Wiese is just a second choice to Rosa. There's not too much we have to talk about there. You don't even need him on the bench. So if you're running Rosa, you probably won't even have Wiese on your bench for the team at all. Red Vegeto, second choice to Red Gotenks, just because, again, like we had mentioned earlier, the Gotenks just helps win fights easier and more effectively. However, unlike the Wiese, you will mandatorily want this Vegeto on the bench. He is a great and, again, necessary bench unit for your fusion teams at the moment, but just takes second fiddle in battle to the Gotenks right now. Purple Cooler, again, takes second fiddle to the Legends Limited Frieza. Very similar situation. If you do not have the Frieza, you are more than welcome to use the Cooler. He is really competitive. He just doesn't do as much for the team as the Frieza will, so he is just kind of like an optional choice instead. We kind of talked about these guys already. I would push both of them up to first choice, pending you have, 6 stars or more on the Broly anyway, the DBS Broly Chilai. If you have Zen Kai 7 Broly, there's no reason why he wouldn't be a first choice option. I think that both of them could be elevated just depending on your level of investment in them. Purple Goku takes second fiddle to the Vegeta, again, just because of how long the Vegeta's been out. Most players will probably have more stars on him, and in conjunction with Vegeta being a core character because he hard counters like Kefla and other really powerful green units right now. So because of that, again, the Goku is the stally, more technical, more kind of comebacky type defensive unit, and Vegeta is the, hey, I want to just kind of win this game quickly unit. So that's why Goku takes second fiddle here. The red Goku that just came out does do pretty decent strike damage. He is a very kind of linear, kind of one-dimensional unit where that's all he does is strike damage. His feint on the green card is not really reliable, so you can't even guarantee that amped up blue card combo, which kind of just makes him a kind of second choice option. The Bardock will usually be better unless you're running an all Goku team, in which case he's perfectly fine as your red option for the all Goku team if you're not going to choose the Zen Kai Super Saiyan Goku down here, for example. Zamasu, good second choice option if you want to run a regen team with Boo and Baby specifically. In most cases, the Janemba or the Kid Boo will be better choices, offensively speaking. But again, for that really annoying, tanky from hell regeneration build, Zamasu does again pair very well with the Fat Boo and the Baby. Next up, we have the Trunks. He's great for hybrids, okay for Vegeta family. Arguably, the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta would be better, but he is a really good anti-regeneration unit. Mainly kind of second choice option for hybrids to Gotenks here. Just hybrids has a lot of red options now with the Gotenks, the LL Gohan, and this Trunks. So you just kind of have to pick and choose which one you need for what you're trying to accomplish. Next up, the Kid Buu just takes second fiddle to the red Janemba up here. Kid Buu is not quite as good, but perfectly acceptable as a choice for regeneration. The Janemba also has a little bit more flexibility on movies as well, though. The Buuhan just loses out in most cases to the Zenkai Fat Buu. As soon as Buuhan gets a Zenkai, I'm sure his value will just absolutely skyrocket. The red Fusion 13 kind of loses out to the females version of androids in terms of choosability and his placement in the meta. Male androids is not quite as effective, but he is an acceptable option there. You will not likely want to run him on fusions over either Gotenks or base Vegeto though, so not too much flexibility for him unfortunately. Next up, green Gogeta. He takes second fiddle to Kefla here. Kefla is just going to be a much better choice for fusions in all situations. However, if you don't have Kefla, for example, he is still an acceptable option for sure. Next up, Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I would argue that he could be a first placement unit to go with Shallot. If you need green, like you could run the green Super Saiyan 3 with the blue Namek Goku and Shallot. I'd say he's a first choice to go on Shallot core. Definitely a first choice to go on your Goku team core as well, just all Goku. So I would elevate this Legends Limited unit up here into the first choice category as well. LF Gohan is a little bit dated, not as competitive right now, and of course Son Family and Hybrids teams are not super top tier at the moment. You would definitely second choice this Gohan to either the Red Trunks or the Gotenks, because right now they will be more effective, easier to help you win the battles because they're useful throughout the entire fight, whereas this Gohan is a dated last man standing unit. Now he can still do good work, it's just he's not going to be as effective as either of the other red hybrids. Zen Kai Goku, the worst of the available Zen Kais because his kit is a little bit more specific in dealing with Lineage of Evil. However, Lineage of Evil is all over the place right now, so he might be a good option for you. You're just going to have to be very wary of the Zen Kai Blue Cooler. So I do think that this Goku is, again, a good second choice option, much more effective than he was previous to his Zen Kai coming out. He is just probably the worst out of all the available Zen Kais. Green Cell for future or androids. You can run him as a second choice for the green slot, but probably not too recommended. It's an option though. Hit is got really no specific team placements, but he's just a second choice permanently because of his absurd damage and crit damage output. He can kill pretty much any unit in the game, even a majority of the red ones. Next up, we have the Ginyu Goku. Goes great on Frieza Force or Ginyu Force teams as a second option. Probably won't end up running him on Lineage of Evil too much. Broly is great for yellow blue, kind of runs with this hit here. I think that's why they're kind of together here. The yellow blue hit, Broly, and whoever you want to fill with on blue is a fairly effective team build, but it's not at the top pinnacle of rankings in PvP at the moment. Baby Vegeta is an option on GT, definitely second choice option. He is good as an anti-last man standing unit if you save all of his debuffs until there's only one enemy left, so the enemy can't swap out of them, then he's pretty effective, but definitely nowhere near as good as the majority of the other GT units up here, like Super Saiyan 4s and Shenron Baby, definitely lower tier comparatively speaking. Green Gohan, again, future is where he's probably going to shine the most, or hybrids, but he's an acceptable second choice option. It's just there's more competitive options and more competitive teams available at the moment. Same thing for Purple 17. The Purple Majin 21 is vastly superior for any type of androids build, and that kind of deranks him down here to a much lower option choice. Same thing with Zanya. There are just more and better options for blue rolls for movies, but she is pretty dang powerful, so as an option, she is a reasonable secondary choice for movies. Pod Frieza arguably could be better. He goes well with the Zen Kai Cooler. I guess this list is just more engineered as like you not needing to double up on the blue, so he's a secondary choice, but perfectly acceptable. When you combine him with the blue Cooler, you will be murderizing people very effectively with that team build. Red Goku, second choice option for your Red Goku on any type of Goku team. Second choice option for Red on GT as well to Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So he is the epitome of being just a less good optional choice for better units above him, but still functional, still usable. Green Raditz and Green 17, again, are just kind of optional units. Green Raditz makes a great bench for Saiyan's units. And if you have the Android 17 6 stars or higher, he can be a pretty good bench for GT as well. Double defense buff and double offense buff respectively on them. I see them more as better bench units than actually super functional. EX Ginyu, this represents the entire Ginyu force with like Raccoon and Birder in here as well. So consider them all secondary options to the better Lineage of Evil build with Zen Kai Cooler. But if you want to run Frieza Force, again, that is a secondary option that is still pretty competitive. They are reasonably decent characters. For free-to-play, they're extremely good. Purple Goku Black is an option for future. There's really no other placement for him at the moment, but that's just kind of where he squeezes in. Just very, very secondary. Tapion, of course, secondary option to Janemba. Janemba is much better for movies in almost all situations. And EX Nail, secondary option, of course, to Majin 21 on regeneration teams. That's pretty much all of the first, second, core, and meta breaking characters. I'm just going to fly through this really quickly. If you are running Son family or hybrids and you don't have a better character, you can use Goten. If you're trying to make Trinity work, like Super Saiyan 1 swap teams, you can run Bardock, but again, these are usable characters that just don't really fit anywhere in the meta where they're going to truly shine at the moment. Ribrianne and actually the entire Universe 2 squad takes like a usable second fiddle to the 21 style of builds. You got this Mai is actually great bench support for females if she's over 6 stars, but you won't really want to use her over Kefla in any way. Broly, the green one, similar story. There's better units for movies. He is a good bench. He is definitely a good bench, but usually in battle, you'll have better options. Same thing for this green Goku. I would prefer the Super Saiyan 3 Goku on all Goku teams in every situation. Both the yellow Vegeta and the green Goku for GT, they are both great bench units for blast damage Saiyans, but in terms of actually using them in battle, I really only use them in PvE. They're kind of just bench units other than PvE. Next up, again, Universe 2 squad just takes a second fiddle to the Majin 21 squad. They're better. Gotenks, mandatory on bench for fusions almost, for that HP buff. It is crucial, but you will pretty much never want to use him over yellow Vegeto. It's just only if you do not have yellow Vegeto, that's the only time this Gotenks is going to get usage. On future, Gohan here, yeah, I probably wouldn't use him for yellow on future. Zen Kai Goku Black all the way, for sure. Even on Son family, probably would go with the Zen Kai Kid Goku. Blue transforming Vegeta is capable of doing pretty good damage and stuff. He just doesn't have a great team placement because he's not tagged. His Z ability, anyway, doesn't help out God Ki. And Vegeta family also has the other transforming Vegeta that's blue. So definitely is a usable option, but not optimal. Male androids, again, with the base form 13, he is good, he is functional, it's just male androids is not really recommended over female androids. Metal Cooler plays far down the list, third fiddle, I guess, to Red Frieza here. He is optional, but you really would only want to use him if you do not have the Red Frieza. Even if you don't have the Red Frieza, you may just consider not bringing Red on Lineage of Evil and stacking other more powerful characters. So he is usable as filler, but not optimal. And the yellow DBS Bardock as well. Doesn't tag for Bardock squad, doesn't tag for Son family, he's just pure generic Saiyan. And personally, I much prefer either the Kid Goku or the blue Kaioken Goku for that role in those slots. However, if you are a fan of the character, he is fairly functional for defense and blue card damage, so he is a usable option. Again, not recommended. The final portion of the list here, these characters are either PvE units or bench units, or you generally just do not use them at all. So Gotenks here can be bench for fusions, otherwise he sees no usage. The Trunks here, bench for hybrids, otherwise he sees no usage. 18, and when I say no usage, again, PvE does not count. I'm talking about PvP. You still can use pretty much any of these units for like Ultra Space Time Rush and stuff like that. Blue 18, bench for blue units, otherwise sees no usage. Frieza, bench for yellow, no usage, not recommended. Bojack is unrecommended movies unit. This Trunks needs a Zen Kai as well, then he'll probably come back around. Green 13 is bench or potentially usable, I guess, on androids. Just again, not too recommended. Red Goku, bench for red or usable on PvE events. I use a lot of him in PvE actually, but otherwise definitely not recommended. Yellow Trunks is just bench for hybrids, otherwise not recommended. Heart Virus Goku not recommended. Red Trunks not recommended. This blue Gohan's not competitive because Saiyan family's not really a thing right now. Blue Kaioken Goku is bench for Saiyan family or blue, but not recommended in battle. So the green Gotenk's completely overshadowed by Kefla and by the green Gogeta as well. Not recommended at all. Bench for male androids, usable as purple, but not recommended. Majin 21 or even 17, way better. Purple Turles, just not recommended at all for really anything. Legends Road Piccolo, replaced by Legends Limited Piccolo, not recommended. Purple One-Hand Spirit Bomb Goku, not recommended for anything but PvE. This Saiyan Family Goku, not very good, not really recommended for anything at the moment. Same thing for Red Broly, just currently not recommended for anything but PvE. This Vegeta, bench for reds and purples, not recommended for anything. Bench for Universe 6 or females, I guess, but not really recommended for anything. Same thing with Videl, just not usable at the moment. IT Goku will be godlike when he gets a Zenkai, but right now, still trash, not recommended for anything. Cooler, just no room on LOE or movies, no need for him. The green Ginyu actually could probably go up here with the rest of the Ginyu Force. He's okay to either bench or use with the free-to-play Ginyu Force. Ultimate Gohan, bench for Saiyan family, usable on hybrids, but possibly not the best option at the moment. Just, he's not really meta right now. Kefla, or not Kefla, sorry, Kale, out of the meta right now. This yellow Vegeta is aged out, not useful. He's a bench for God Key, but that's pretty much it. Blue, this is the only blue option for future at the moment, but he's still really not that competitive. I just don't run blue if I'm going to run future at the moment. Majin Vegeta is blast damage buffer for Saiyans. That's pretty much it on the bench. PvE Goku here. Legends Road Red Goku, just not recommended over pretty much any other Red Goku we've talked about today. Goten is bench for hybrids. Slug could be bench for regen, but better options above. Chi-Chi, just non-competitive at the moment, not even really a bench unit. Piccolo, same deal. Yellow 18 could bench for females, but that's pretty much all you would be using her for. Red Gogeta can bench for fusions, but that's pretty much all you'd be using him for right now. They both need Zenkais pretty bad. Hercule, just fun to use as a troll unit. Not too much else needs to be said about that. This Red Cell needs a Zenkai also. He's non-competitive, completely aged out, not even really good as a bench. Rildo is functional in battle, but just has no real good team and has no meta to run with right now, which is just why he's not really recommended. DKP, same story. The Legends Limited Piccolo is way, way, way better. Dragon Ball Saga team is non-existent. He needs a Zenkai. Saiyaman 2, you don't really need her over Red 18. You don't really even bench her at the moment. Green Bardock would be strike damage bench for Saiyans. This green Gohan is pretty good on hybrids, actually. If you're going to run hybrids, you could actually say that he would be like a usable filler character or even first or second choice for a hybrids team specifically. It's just they're not hyper competitive at the moment. Yamcha, troll character. DBS Broly, completely aged out and dated. I also anticipate that when he gets a Zenkai, he will come back and be very, very high value in the meta. But for right now, he's just kind of waiting on the sidelines. Piccon, not really usable anywhere at the moment. Super Boo could be a bench for like a Boo specific team or like blast damage regeneration, not so useful. I mean, he's still somewhat functional in battle, but just much more dated and aged out, comparably speaking. I think the EX Red Super Boo might even be better at the moment. Boma, not really usable anywhere. This Super Saiyan 3 Goku is and always will be an amazing bench for Saiyan's teams with strike damage and blast defense, I believe. Piccolo, just kind of aged out, not really good anywhere at the moment. Purple Janemba, same story. His damage is non-existent. Don't need him on Regen, Majin 21. Don't need to say any more. Blue Pan, not really usable anywhere, but good bench on Son family, I suppose. Green 16 needs a Zen Kai. It's not even useful as a bench. Purple Vegeta, not useful really anywhere. U2 Rosie, if you want to run the U2 squad, she's actually not terrible, but again, she's not really recommended right now for meta reasons. This blue Goku, aged and dated, really PvE only. This blue Goku was never really useful, PvE only. Green Vegeta, just not useful at the moment, bad Z ability. This red Super Saiyan God Goku, still a clutch and critical bench for God Ki with the HP buff and the crit buff. So definitely a mandatory bench unit for God Ki there. Bunny Boma, again, Dragon Ball Saga is non-existent. You don't need her on females. Kefla better. Saiyaman could benefit from Zen Kai as well. And then Legends Road might be going places. This dude is bench for Super Saiyan 1 teams only. Also not usable in battle. So very low value at the moment. Nappa is kind of just a quirky, kids-based team build character. Not meta, not relevant right now. Krillin, not meta or relevant at the moment, just bench for blue units. Kaba, Universe 6, has no real support right now, so he's not recommended. Dabura, possibly one of the worst sparkings, if not the worst sparking in the entire game. Kid Gohan, also desperately in need of an update, not really useful anywhere. Chilled, just like the Godku, is your critical HP and health restoring bench unit for Lineage of Evil, so still extremely good on Chilled. And Red Vegeta just is not comparable at all to Super Saiyan 4 Red Vegeta, so he is in the not recommended also. This tier list I will be putting up on Twitter and in the Facebook group, so it will be available there. Remember, the way of comparing things on this list is much more geared towards building effective teams and ranking the effectiveness of teams in the meta right now. We're not directly comparing these characters to one another. Hopefully this list is much more appealing to everyone and there's much less disagreements because everything here is fairly accurate in terms of team building and relevancy as of right now in the meta. You know, moving into the anniversary, of course, things will change. They always do change in this game. If you did stick around for the entire video, I supremely appreciate it. Again, sorry it's been a week since I put something out, but finally now I figured we had some good information to put up. And maybe I will start dabbling in PvP videos again here soon. It's just, the game frustrates me a lot when the connections are poor and when just things are disconnecty and acting up. So that's kind of put me off to PvP style content. But I don't want to drag this video out any longer. Again, if you watched this long, I appreciate you so much for supporting the video. Consider leaving a like on it, help spread it out so more people can get exposed to the video. And as well, if you're new around here, consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell so I can see you on future uploads. Beyond that, comment down below, what do you think of these rankings and this formatting of the tier list? This structure of providing information as to how useful different characters are for their respective teams. I would definitely love to know your feedback down below and whether or not you prefer this style of tier list to the more classic just ranking out and comparing everybody, which again, I personally feel is not the most effective way to classify characters in this game. So with that being said, that's about all I have for this video for you today. Again, happy late Goku Day. Let me know all your feedback down below, and I, of course, will be seeing you again very soon. The closer we get towards anniversary, the more and more information we get, the more content I will definitely have to put out for you. So thank you again, and I'll be seeing you soon. Peace out. Have a great day.